before our assignment, right?
I'm sorry, what was that?
So we are here because we have an extra credit assignment.
Okay.
So I hope you guys upload the video before the due date of the assignment, if this is possible. Otherwise, I'll just stay and then leave my class.
Yeah, we'll try to do that. We will try.
All right.
Okay. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
When's your assignment due?
3 days. I'll tell you the exact day.
I'll
Okay.
start writing letters
Fine.
for passes for everybody.
It's due Monday, August 30th.
Sounds good. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right.
And then for all future questions, I ask that you send them in the chat and then I'll read them off to Shivani. All right, it's 12:05. Let's get started here. Welcome to Laos College of Engineering Tech Talks, featuring Laos College of Engineering alumna and Senior Technical Program Manager at Cruise LLC, Shivani Kumar. My name is Lazar Batista, and this is my final year at Fresno State. I'm currently studying computer engineering in the Laos College of Engineering here. Also a treasurer for the Society of Asian Scientists and Engineers and co-vice president for the Institute of Electronic and Electric Engineers, IEEE, as well as an active member in multiple clubs and a Pathways tutor if you're ever in Pathways. So I'm excited to introduce our presenter today, Ms. Shivani Kumar. Ms. Kumar was recently promoted to Senior Technical Program Manager. She earned her bachelor's degree in electrical engineering in 2016 from the Laos College of Engineering. While at Fresno State, Shivani was involved in the Institute of Electronic and Electric Engineers, IEEE, the honor societies of Eta Kappa Nu and Tau Beta Pi. She was a very active student in the EC department and throughout all of Laos College of Engineering. Ms. Kumar's path to technical leadership is an inspiration to students in the Laos College, especially young women. Over the years, she has mentored numerous students and helped students succeed in their careers. And now, welcome, Ms. Shivani Kumar.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here. I always love coming to do these things. I think it was always a good path for me when I was in school to and kind of go through that. So I'm very happy to be here with you guys today. I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen meeting now. And kind of as we mentioned earlier, if you do have questions, please drop them in the chat. I am more than happy to talk through them in the middle of this, but we will also have some time at the end to ask any questions as well. So awesome. We'll kind of go, well, technical difficulties. I am hoping this goes to the next page shortly. But anyway, background on myself, and this is going all the way over the place. A little bit background on my talk about kind of the job history that I've had up until this point, and we'll talk about kind of the cool stuff we've done, and of course talk about Cruise, because I think that the work that we're doing there is really awesome, and it's good to highlight kind of all the facets of engineering and everything else that kind of feed into a company there, so you guys kind of see what that looks like, and then we'll do Q&A at the end.
Shivani, it appears that your audio seems to be cutting in and out to a lot of people.
You guys kind of heard most of this, and this is very laggy of it all, but I grab. Thank you for that feedback. I will throw on headphones right now, and we'll do a little swapperoo, so bear with me for about. Perhaps you can hear me now. Yes? No? Maybe?
Yes, I think we can hear you now a lot better. Yeah.
Lovely. That is awesome. Thank you for the thumbs up, Andrew. Yeah, sorry. Audio troubles with external mics with the past couple of years. I think you guys are intimately aware of that. But yeah, we got a quick little background, but just for some further context, Yeah, I served my time at Fresno State, got a degree in EE. I theoretically, I think, got a bachelor's in computer engineering as well, but we don't talk about that too much. So those were kind of where I spent most of my time with her on, and I think those are very beneficial just across the university there. So that's kind of how I spent my time. Many hours spent in the IEEE room, many hours spent in the IEEE room. So just kind of some more history on that. I got my degree in May 2016. From then, I moved over to Planet Labs. I started out as a technician there. I spent about 6 or 7 months in that position, then was a nice role of manufacturing.
It's starting to cut in now,
engineer,
sort of,
kind
Shivani. We think it might be the bandwidth issue or something.
A couple more years in that role. We'll talk. That is, go ahead and actually turn off my video, see if that helps a little bit. And there we go. I
Oh,
spent
that
all
helped
my
a
time on
lot.
video
Can
calls.
everyone put in chat if that
And
sounds way
here we
better?
are. Okay, I think my computer's been having fun times lately. But anyway, yeah, so you guys just won't get to see my pleasant face as we talk through this anymore. So I'll talk a little bit about what I did at Planet in that role. And then back in September of 2019, I actually moved to Cruise to take on a slightly different role of technical program management. It was a change in career, but also a change in industry for me. And then I've been at that kind of since. I got a promotion recently to have the title of senior. Titles don't mean much to me, but it did come with a little pay raise, so that's kind of nice. And we'll go in and we'll talk about kind of all the background there. With all that so far, any questions, concerns before we go in and talk about Planet and Cruise and kind of all the work that they're doing and cool things happening there?
Sorry, could you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, it started cutting from the beginning. If you could go through it real quick from the beginning, it would be good.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we were just gonna go into. You guys kind of got the background for my time at Fresno State. Spent a lot of time with IEEE and with our partner orgs in the College of Engineering, supporting all sorts of various activities that Hernan puts on. I did get my bachelor's in EE back in 2016 and went on to industry kind of since then. And this is just kind of going in through the background of my job history. I got a degree in May of 2016. Went on to Planet Labs as a lab tech for the first like 6 months until a opportunity opened up on the engineering team. So I got to be a manufacturing engineer there for a couple of years. And then from then I kind of transitioned into a new role into program management at Cruise. So it was a new industry, a new role for me. So there were a lot of changes at that time. So awesome. So we'll kind of go into what Planet Labs is here. So there's no nice little compact video that I can show you, unfortunately, but what Planet Labs did is it designed, built, and operated a very large fleet. I think it's potentially the largest of Earth imaging satellites. So there are, oh God, at the time, maybe over 150, 200 kind of being operated at the same time in space. My job when I started, and we do all the design in-house, we do all the build in-house actually in San Francisco, California, which if you think manufacturing, you don't quite usually think San Francisco. So we did all that in-house, and then they would go to various launch sites to go launch them with companies like SpaceX, like Rocket Lab, and a bunch of others. So that's kind of what Planet was. They had a whole space systems org. That's the org I was part of. They did all the design work for the spacecraft and kind of anything all the way through mission ops. So that's kind of what Planet is. And what I did for them as a lab tech, it was building and testing spacecraft and debugging boards and other spacecraft issues, because I did have the wonderful background of electrical engineering. They said, here, you probably know how to do this, and would hand me bad boards. And I would go in and try to figure out what their problems were. I had to do a lot of background work on my circuits training, because I have the tendency to go through school and then immediately forget about everything I learned. So that was actually a good refresher for me from the electrical engineering point of view. I did get to move into the manufacturing engineer role a few months into that. And that kind of came with a host of really cool new responsibilities for me. There's the usual stuff of like, I had to go in and plan our build schedules from like a clear to build to an okay to ship. We had to do manufacturing and test instructions. I had a team of technicians. They're the ones actually going out and building stuff. So they need to know what to build, when to build, and how to build it. So I was responsible for all that. I was also assigning tasks to technicians and ensuring that they don't have any roadblocks kind of in the way. And then working cross-functionally with the spacecraft org to plan and execute on successful missions. So this means working with the purchasing teams to make sure that we're getting parts in on time so we can actually build, working with onboard software to make sure everything's functioning properly. Electrical, mechanical, and optics teams, reliability is a big one on there, mission ops. And then of course the launch team to make sure everything kind of goes smoothly there. I have a couple of spacecraft kind of up here. I'm hoping you can potentially see my cursor. On the top though is what we call the Dove. That is the spacecraft that Planet started out with many moons ago and have been iterating on since. Down below, you actually have a SkySat. So for a portion of my role as manufacturing engineer, actually for the first job I was given is I was sent down to Mountain View because we bought a company by the name of Terabella. They used to be their own entity, then they got bought out by Google, and then we bought them. They made this satellite, which is called the SkySat. For this, they did in-house camera manufacturing. So I got to be in charge of that. So that was really my first taste of program management that I got there, which was really awesome. So that's kind of, that was my first initial role out of school to go in and work on satellites. And I still joke to this day, it's the coolest first job anybody could ever have. Because like how often do you get to send stuff to space? And you kind of see on the top right here, you got some fun little art on the side panels of the spacecraft. That's actually laser etched. We got to put all kinds of cool stuff on the side of satellites. So I've sent some pretty weird things to space. So it's always fun to reminisce about that and like how awesome of an opportunity that was. And the way that opportunity kind of presented itself was through networking, getting the talking to people, getting the job, and ultimately, when I started that position, the other technicians didn't really have an engineering background, so it was a little overqualified for it. But I got to learn so many awesome things and did get to take on the engineering role pretty soon after that. Some things that I learned at Planet, because it was my first job, was some like inter-team and interdiscipline communication. I think we have a tendency to like, when I don't know when you guys are going through your normal day-to-day, but to make fun of like some of the other engineering disciplines or business majors. And just kind of being in that position allowed me to really see what everybody brings to the table and really value everybody's input there. I also got to go through a lot of communications with leadership. So because everybody everybody kind of did their thing, and I was kind of at the very tail end of the totem pole, really, of like getting parts out to launch. It was a very visible role. So I got to talk a lot to leadership on how that's going. I also got to learn how to manage a team. So very like less than a year into my professional career, I was handed a lot of responsibility and a technician team to go execute, and still learning while trying to manage others who are more experienced in different ways than you was a challenge. So that was a fun thing that I got to do very early on that I really did not anticipate. I think when I graduated, I expected myself to go through like many years of engineering before I even thought about like managing other people or telling other people what to do. But that opportunity presented itself to me very quickly. And then there's always the cost, time, performance trade-offs that you have to make, because launch does not quite move for me. I had a very steady thing of like, we have to get parts out at this time. So it was my job to figure out what we had to do to go make that happen, and if we're making the right compromises in those scenarios. Cost management, always a big thing. I don't want to lose money or lose the company money. So it's my job to make sure we're doing everything we can to kind of make those savings there. And then of course, program planning. So this is like end to end. Can we make this part do what it's supposed to do, how it's supposed to do it, and in the manner it's supposed to? So making sure that I'm working with the engineering team so that the product is actually going to be manufacturable to working with our mission ops team to ensure that they know the product that they are expecting meets their quality standards, and when it gets to space, it functions as it's supposed to, and all that good stuff. And then hints of supplier management as well. Of course, working like getting boards and other items from suppliers. You need to be able to manage them, make sure you communicate deadlines to them. I got a little taste of that while at Planet. Cool. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. I think we
Yeah.
realized. Oh, go ahead.
We had a quick question earlier about asking what would the Planet satellites do? Or yeah.
Yeah. So you'll see at the front here, so these are actually Earth imaging satellites, and they're medium resolution satellites. So what that means is I believe about 3 to 5 meters per pixel is what these guys see. So we're launching them into space. They're being operated. Oh God, I wish my video worked here. But they're imaging the Earth every single day. So every place on Earth, you have a new image of it every single day. I don't know if you guys like when you go, if you recall like Google Earth or sometimes even Google Maps, like not their street view, but like their satellite view. It shows very industries because these big satellites, they're very, very expensive. So, and they're very, it takes time for it to move from one location to the other. So you end up not utilizing them as much for like constant imaging. These Dove satellites, they're very small. They're considerably inexpensive comparatively. So we have having a giant fleet of them. What that meant is you could image every single place on Earth. So there would be one, you would get a new image of like portions of Fresno State every single day. And this is really helpful. One of our biggest customers is actually agriculture, because if you have these giant sprawling fields, you can't always monitor them easily, right? So having the images come to you kind of shows you the day-to-day change that you can kind of see there. So they're imaging spacecraft. And of course, they have like world-class radios as well to make sure, because it's a lot of images that we're taking and we need to send back to Earth so we can process them. That also takes a lot of bandwidth. So we need to be able to make sure that our radios are top-notch and we can actually transmit all the data we need to at each of our passes. I hope that answered your question. Are there any others that we have kind of around Planet Labs or my time there?
Yeah, one more was who did Planet Labs source the sending them to space to, or did you guys build the rockets too as well?
We did not build the rocket. So we worked with many different companies across the years. One of them is obviously SpaceX. You also have a company called Rocket Lab, which is out of like Huntington Beach, but they launch out of New Zealand. We also launched with the PSLV rocket. So back in, so that was PSLV. We launched on one of the Minotaur rockets. I've actually got a shirt somewhere in my closet with all of our launches up to about 2018. But there are many different spacecraft that we launch with. I believe recently they actually signed a partnership deal with SpaceX though. I don't know if it's like fully exclusive, but that's going to be kind of their main launch partner. Because these satellites are so small and they're actually in a standard size, so they're 3U. A U is 10 by 10 by 10. The Doves are 30 or 10 by 10 by 30. So they fit in like universal deployers. So you can kind of squeeze them in on most satellites, and they're also very light. So it's very easy to put them on multiple different spacecraft. Or I'm sorry, rockets. But yeah, so we do not build rockets. We do have, Planet did have their own ground stations though. Usually what companies do is they rent out ground stations. So these are where all like your radio stuff and dishes are, so that when satellites pass over, they transmit their data down. Planet actually had their own ground stations, which is actually extremely valuable, especially for the amount of passes that we have. I hope that answered that. Any other questions on this front, folks?
No, none as of now. That's it for now.
Awesome. So we'll go into kind of what Cruise is. And I think we realized early on that this audio doesn't work, but what we'll do is I'll talk through Cruise. So Cruise is actually a subsidiary of General Motors. I think we've got a few alums that are part of the General Motors team. But what we do here at Cruise is we build autonomous systems to make cars go. So if you've been in and around San Francisco, you may have seen our Bolt platform. So that's using a Chevy Bolt, and it has a sensor suite on top of it, so it can drive autonomously. And we do that in the city as well as in Phoenix, Arizona. So the reason we choose San Francisco is actually it's a very difficult city to drive in. So you have a lot of these other autonomous vehicle companies but have like wider roads, longer streets. San Francisco is very, we operate our vehicles there. To right now is the vehicle that's called the Origin. That's the one I actually work on. This is the first purposefully built vehicle for autonomous driving. So what that means is there's no steering wheel in this car. It's not supposed to be driven by a person. It's supposed to be a robo-taxi. And what we're doing is we're making the sensor platform to go make this happen and make it drive autonomously. So, and that means working with General Motors and also with Honda and all of our various suppliers to make the car happen. And you can see some cool stuff on here. But that's kind of what Cruise does. We have the Bolt, the Chevy Bolt platform that's on the streets right now. We're driving autonomously with that. We actually got the right permits to bring on passengers, and also we've done fully autonomous driving. So that means without any person in the car. So right now, when you see cars during the day, they'll have they'll have the safety driver, and then they'll have a passenger as well to make sure that nothing untoward happens. But we have done fully autonomous driving in the city of San Francisco as well. So that's kind of what Cruise is. Before we kind of go into what I do there, are there any questions about Cruise or anything else of the sort? Going once, going twice.
I have a question.
Good.
Can you hear
Or
me?
would you? I can hear you. Are we good with the audio, or do we want to do it written?
Preferably type, if you could. Type up your question, please.
Okay, I can type it.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll talk just a little bit more about Cruise while you kind of type that up, and we'll make sure we answer those questions. Yeah, so Cruise has been around for a number of years now. There are many other autonomous vehicle companies, but we have a very good partnership with General Motors. So I think we're pretty well positioned for the future to be the next like big company to do robo taxis. It's a pretty incredible journey. Are we good on questions?
Yeah. Which programs do you think an electrical engineer or computer engineer should know in order to get hired at your company? Yeah,
so they do a lot of Python. They do a lot of Python. There's some C++, but it's mostly in Python. So if you have that experience, there are a few other jobs available that might require slightly different things. I did drop a link at the end of this presentation, and I will drop it kind of in the chat as well, where they might have other needs for like software engineers. In terms of electrical engineering, like there's not really a required thing for that, just because there's so many different things you can work on. So like not only do we have the sensor systems that go inside the vehicle, we have the compute systems that go inside the vehicle. So there can be various different things that kind of are useful for the company in all aspects of like electrical or mechanical or any of that stuff. I do know from the mechanical side, we do love it when people have like any type of like vehicle background. I think is it Bulldog? I think it's like Bulldog Racing, and then there's another club on at least the mechanical side where you guys. All I can remember right now is honestly our solar powered vehicle, but I think we have a few programs that we do at Fresno State that like kind of lead themselves towards that from the mechanical point of view. But definitely there's a wide need of engineers. So really there's a lot of different skill sets that could apply themselves to Cruise. Any other questions on this slide before I kind of talk about what I do there? Awesome. So we'll go into, hopefully not that. There we go. Here we are. Awesome. So that's another cool little image of the origin. Like I said, I don't make parts for the current vehicles that are on the road. I make parts for this new one coming up. And my job is to conceptualize a sensor product, to develop a program to reach full production for the origin. At the end of the day, we do intend this to be a fleet of vehicles that are in full production. And what that means is we have very rigorous criteria to meet for each of our products. So not only do I need to make a sensor that does the right thing, I need to make a sensor that does the right thing that can go on a vehicle on the road that's going to carry people. And that comes with a lot of safety protocols for all the right reasons. If you and I like get on like an Uber on the road, we trust that the vehicle is not going to break down on us, or there's not going to be, or the driver is not completely out of their mind and aren't able to drive. So there have to be regulations in place, which means we have to go follow them. I work across our design team, embedded systems, AI, ML, purchasing, General Motors, company leaders, and other program management teams, and many others, obviously, to ensure program success. Each of the products that we have for the vehicle, they are just so broad in nature that you end up communicating across many, many disciplines and many, many different teams in order to go make a successful product. One of the main pillars of my job is schedule management internally and with external suppliers. For some of you that might have internships or anything of the sort, and for those of you that might already be employed here, you're probably familiar with program managers. They're always calling meetings. They're always asking you questions, making churros. That's me. But I have to go ahead and make sure that we are building the right thing. We are building it in the amount of time we have to build it, because obviously we have certain timing goals, right? Like if it needs to go on a car, when does it need to go on a car? I need to factor that in. And of course, cost is a big thing, because we need this to be a profitable business. And for it to do that, I need to make sure my cost is actually reined in, because if my sensor costs way too much, the car costs more. And if the car costs more, the value you get is actually lowered. So you want to make sure that all of those are reined in, because cost is a very, very important part of any business. I think usually in the engineering side, you kind of lose track of that a little bit, but on the business level, it's a very important factor. Any questions thus far? Cool. Some fun. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you commonly use radar systems in your vehicles, and what are the systems used beside radar?
Sure. So we do the ones. There's radar, camera, LiDAR. Those are kind of the main sensor systems that we have. There's also acoustics that we use on there. I actually work in LiDAR land. So there are radar systems on it. As you know, with radar, it's a very mature technology. LiDAR is not as mature, so there's a lot of stuff that we're learning on that. And then cameras. Those are also very big on the vehicle. So you can't quite build an autonomous vehicle yet with just one sensor suite, because each of them have their own like pros and cons, right? Like cameras can be completely blinded by the sun. They do really poorly in rain, stuff like that. So you need to have other sensor systems to kind of support all functionality and all types of weather. Because like we're going to be launching this vehicle in San Francisco, but it's going to go around the world too. I think one of the things that we've announced is after the US launch, it's going to go to Dubai. So we need to make sure that we can handle snow, we can handle rain, we can handle fog. So yeah, there are many types of sensor systems on the vehicle. Any other questions on that front, folks? Cool. Some fun things that I learned and am still learning at Cruise are like supplier management, stakeholder management, and leadership. I have a very visible product internally at Cruise, which means I get to talk to our VPs a lot. Keeping composure and preparing yourselves for moments like that are very difficult. So that's been a constant learning experience for me, of how to present yourself, not only in front of others, but to leaders of the company as well. So those have been some very, very important things for me. Some just general lessons learned. Intern while in school. We have, I think, the VIP program and definitely a lot of other opportunities that LCOE offers. I definitely recommend interning, because that allows you to get one just real life, or co-ops too also. It allows you to kind of get the experience in from everything, but also you get to network with people. Having that real world experience is extremely helpful. And of course, when I say network with people, like go meet them, go talk to them, but also keep up with stuff like that, because those are going to be the people that help you get a job, or when you are at your job, they help you improve as a person and as an employee. I was always very shy. I did not enjoy, like I didn't like the aspect of like, oh, I'm bothering somebody. But both of the jobs I've had are because of the people that have kind of vouched for me. So I was given the manufacturing engineer job because I had people that were willing to go out to bat saying, no, her contract's ending, we need to keep her here. Like she's a very, very good employee. Like, and I had people come up to me afterwards saying like, hey, ever since you got here, we've been fighting to keep you as an engineer. And that was very grateful for that. And then my job at Cruise was actually through networking as well. I had talked a lot with somebody, and then when this job opened up, they reached out and said, hey, you had talked about wanting to make this transition in your future. There's this job opportunity available. Like, do you want to take it? Do you want to try and apply for it? So networking is extremely important. Like, I wish I had done more of that while I was in school. I highly recommend this, is like, get better at public speaking and speaking to others, like the interpersonal skills. Like, we joke about engineers kind of being antisocial, but one thing I've kind of learned being in the industry for the past few years is it's a very valuable skill. You end up being a little bit more memorable, especially as an engineer. So as a program manager, I'm supposed to be really good at talking to people, right? But as an engineer, people don't really expect that of you. So they definitely want that. It's very important because in every role you have, you're going to be talking to people, and whether they're your coworkers, whether they're leaders or others in the org, there's always that aspect of communication. So we need to make sure that we're trying to do that as well. So I highly encourage you, if we have like, oh, and just also in like your interview sessions as well, like I've taken a lot of like nervous interviews from people where it's like, if you just like try to talk a little bit more and kind of get comfortable with that, it really, really helps the way you come across with people. And then always negotiate your salary. I think that's really important, because like, what's the worst that they're going to do? Say no? Then that's fine. But you can always say that you tried. I did not negotiate my first salary. I regret that to this day. I did negotiate my one for Cruise, and I actually got the what I had asked for. So I highly recommend doing that. Yeah, so those are just kind of some lessons learned. You guys can shoot me an email if you need anything. I am like more like, email's a little iffy for me. I'm not always great at like responding to them, as Hernan might be able to tell you. But if you shoot me a message, I will get back to you, whether you want like any type of advice, if you want to hear more about Cruise or anything else, or if you just want to run a few things by or just are curious. Like, I'm more than happy to answer my emails. That's my LinkedIn. And then I'm also on the Discord, though I don't quite know how that works. So if you shoot me a message on there, I'm sure I'll figure it out eventually. But yeah, so that's kind of some contact stuff. Since audio doesn't work, it doesn't make sense for me to go in and play all of these, but these are some really cool Cruise videos that I think are very helpful to kind of tell the story of what we do at Cruise, but also give you guys some background into us. So that being said, that kind of takes us to the end of all the stuff I wanted to make sure I talked about. What I'll do is I'm going to leave the floor to you guys of just like any questions that you have, anything you want to know, or whatever else is on your mind, really. And I'm going to try and turn my video back on if I can figure that out. Here we are. Now you shouldn't have any laggy bandwidth issues, but yeah, if you've got any questions, please drop them in the chat. More than happy to talk about quite literally anything.
First question, Shivani, is how has being an IEEE member benefited you in your professional life?
I saved so much money on printing in college, but also what IEEE actually really gave me the opportunity to do was go talk to people. So one of the, I'm sure you guys still do it, but like, I think Mesa does like the Saturday academies. I think I did the like college days and stuff when they came to LCOE, but like just talking to high schoolers, and that got me a lot more comfortable like talking at people, which I think helped my interpersonal skills, and just kind of being able to have that sense of community, I think is very important. As antisocial as I think I am sometimes, it's very like important to have the interpersonal connection with everybody. So I think just having that place to go either hang out, do homework, anything of the sort, IEEE also got me through college. So there, shout out to everybody I went to college with, and like we studied together. There was a lot of late nights. So I think that was absolutely critical for me as well. And just being able to build those relationships. Like I'm very bad at keeping up with people, but there's still a bunch of people from IEEE that I still talk to and text every now and then. And we catch up on kind of how things are going, and you kind of build those relationships as you go across like various companies across the globe, across the country, and all that good stuff. But also just generally like being able to participate in the College of Engineering was very, very valuable to me. And I actually credit a lot of my like speaking skills and all of that kind of to that time period where I was able to go do that. Like I did a lot of tours for the College of Engineering. And when I got to Planet, I actually did like the onboarding and tours for that as well. So that was super awesome for me to kind of like transition from like giving tours of the engineering buildings to giving tours of like my lab at Planet. And then I do my onboarding at Cruise as well. And I think all of that has just been a kind of a nice transition, but definitely benefited a lot from kind of all the opportunities afforded there. So yeah. And IEEE was very involved in the College of Engineering, so we did a lot of cool stuff.
And then our next question is, what type of coding languages do you know and recommend knowing, and where you can possibly learn them if it's not learned in school?
Sure, I highly recommend Python. There's so many like online tools. I know I can't remember if like Khan Academy does it, but there's like honestly, if you Google it, there's so many of them that are free. So those are really key. But what I highly recommend doing on top of that is doing like little projects. So I did C++ theoretically. I'm very bad at it. If you tell me to code anything, I will be very unsuccessful because I did not practice it at all. So one thing, like you can go out and learn Python all you want, but if you're not working with it constantly, like you kind of lose it. It's the same way of learning a language, right? If you don't use it, you lose it. So I highly recommend one, just like there's a lot of free resources out there just to go learn it. And then implementing it in like projects and stuff. And they've got a lot of like collaborative things that you can go out and do with others and try and improve that way. Yeah, Python's very popular. Highly recommend that. C++ kind of always is a stalwart, so that wouldn't be a bad thing to know as well. And the thing I've learned with all these coding languages is like you go and do one, learning others is not as hard. You might hate them and you might think they're useless, but learning it is no longer as much of a challenge because you've kind of gotten your brain into the path of doing so. So I think, I don't know, does Leskatov still teach at Fresno State? He used to teach, I think he was, oh, maybe not. So he used to teach mechanical engineering and he taught like engineering 101, which was a math class. But what the first thing that dude
Yeah,
said oh, he's still here?
yeah, I took a class with him, Dynamics ME 112, like in fall 2019. After that,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Yeah,
He's still there now.
that
He was
dude's
really
super-
good.
Yeah, he was super cool. One of the first things he actually said to our class was, college doesn't teach you like it doesn't teach you information. Like they're not going and teaching you like electrical engineering, mechanical engineering. They're teaching you how to learn. So they're like you're gonna learn a bunch of shit and you're gonna get to industry and you're gonna think, oh, was that super outdated? Is my degree very outdated? What the university is actually teaching you is how to go in and learn, whether it's by yourself, whether it's with your peers. But it's super critical. And like that one thing that dude said to me, like my first or second semester at Fresno State, like absolutely stayed with me the entire time. It's just like you're learning how to learn.
And this is a specific question. Do you know if you have
Yeah.
any employees that have backgrounds in neuroscience or cognition to help innovate new technologies for autonomous vehicles?
Oh, if I have, I'm sorry, say it again. If I have employees with backgrounds
employees-
in neuroscience or
Yes.
cognition, that is very interesting. Not that I know of off the top of my head or know personally. I'm sure there's somebody with a little bit more of that knowledge roaming around. But not that I know of and can say. Hmm. That's interesting. I'll have to ask around about that. Cool. Any other questions that we want to go through? Oh, I see a lot in the chat.
Did you intern while in school, and what was the internship related to your first job, or was it
Fun
related
fact
to
of the day, I am a Canadian citizen. For the first 3 years of my college career, I could not hold a job where they would pay me due to my visa, so I did not have an internship. I really wish I was able to, just because I think it would be really good for like to get that work experience in. But unfortunately, I was not able to until like my last year of school, and that's when it wasn't like I was in a dash of, like really wanting to get the degree. So I didn't put a lot of time into trying to do a co-op at the same time or something of the sort. So unfortunately, do VIP in terms of like Caltrans and a few of the local. Cool. All right. See a question around the best way to obtain an internship and some good skills that employers look at. So that's actually a really great question. And this is really where I think networking comes in. I know the College of Engineering does like their yearly thing of having like industry come in. I can't remember what we call that. Local employers come in and kind of talk about what they do. Extremely important, like just in the networking sense. Talk to your professors, talk to people like me. Like I am here, but there are many other awesome alumni of Fresno State, and now we're all on the Discord. So you can talk to us about the companies we work for, and if you're interested in interning there, having somebody like. Another thing I've learned in industry is a lot of the people that we hire, they're going to be backed up by somebody we trust. So having that, like somebody to vouch for you, is very, very important. So I think that the best way to kind of get that internship is to talk to people. So whether they're the ones that come to Fresno State try and recruit, whether they're the people that graduated from Fresno State, whose companies are hiring, show your interest in the job, and people are going to be more than happy to introduce you, available. Good skills that employers are looking for. The hot thing right now is just like they want somebody with, well, the hot thing always is like 10 to 15 years of experience. What I've realized is, well, every job description says that that's not always necessary. And so even if you feel a little underqualified for it, I would still say apply for it. That's for like full-time jobs. For some of the internship stuff, they really look for good project experience to show you can work really well with others and kind of to do that. So if you've got projects that you're working on at Fresno State or some of the like group projects that we usually have, talking about those is super important. And people are really good at hearing when you're like energetic about something. So that's always a good site for people. So if you can kind of highlight those things, that would be awesome. Cool. Turn off video again because it feels like I'm breaking up a little bit. Cool. Do you want to go through some more of these questions, or should I just go down the list?
Oh, you can just go down the list then. There was a couple.
Cool. Awesome. Do you recommend using Pycharm, or do you have a better recommendation for using Python? I'm going to be blatantly honest with you. I do not have a heavy recommendation there. I interact with a lot of people that use Python, but also in my neck of the woods and in Sensorland, we do a lot of like MATLAB and other things as well. I don't have a heavy recommendation there. I'm sorry. What is the workday like? Is it in person or work from home? Is it 12 hours a day, intense or mix? So right now we are still working remotely. I will be working remotely at least until January. I do go into the office every now and then again, if it's absolutely necessary. I do have a lot of people that are doing work on my team in the office. So sometimes it's easier for me to go in to see some of that progress as opposed to kind of sending them Slacks and emails while I'm remote. But in January, I think we'll be going back into the office formally for everybody. Is it a 12-hour day or intense or a mix? So due to the fun little nature of my job, I do spend a lot of hours in meetings and trying to knock out days. So my days sometimes do get a little long, especially working across time zones. So it usually does end up being about 12 hours most days. I also have realized over the years, I have the personality type of not really wanting to let go or turn off. So that's something I am personally trying to work on because I think that'll help me. That will help me like not be at work as long and kind of help for a little bit more work-life balance. But unfortunately, right now is difficult. But we're powering through. Cool. Would you say that it is better to start with a smaller company early in our careers to gain more exposure, or should you start with a larger company? That is a great question. And I've actually noodled on this for a little while because that was one of the things when I was thinking about leaving Planet of wondering, do I go for like my first thing was I was just going to go to one of the very big companies and that was going to be my like cutoff to leave Planet. But I think it's different for everybody involved. Like you have to think about what you value as a company or as a person in a company, and you have to kind of find the right fit. Like not everybody is happy in the big company because you might have a lot of bureaucracy. The company might be too large and you feel like a small fish. Sometimes working with a smaller company means you don't have as many processes in place, so you feel like you're floundering a bit. So each one of them kind of has their own pros and cons. Also, when we say small company, I'm assuming like we're thinking like under 1,000, 1,500 people. Like if you get to like the really, really small startups, the thing I've kind of seen there is it's really word of mouth. Like you have people that like all went to college together. Like these startups, like it's a bunch of people that went to college together, all moved from a company together. Those are a little harder to break into, especially like early in your career. With some of these larger companies, what they usually end up doing is they go recruit at your like really, really big schools like the MITs and the Stanfords of the world. They go recruit there. So that becomes a little bit difficult as well. And that's where I think the networking really, really helps. Is like you end up being a lot closer to like, oh, I can call up my friend at, like you're interested in Facebook, I can go call up my friend, see if she has like software roles that they're interested in hiring new grads for, and we can kind of go that way. But whether you go small company or big company, that's a really difficult question because your big company, they have more roles, they have the resources to invest in young employees, but they're so caught up in wanting to always hire like super experienced people. Your smaller companies, it becomes like a smaller niche of people, so you're always kind of fighting like the inexperience a little bit, or like lack of resources to some extent. So that was a really, really indirect, long-winded, like non-answer, but like you got to think about what works for you. I think everybody gets enticed by like the Google or FANG, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Google, and Netflix, and all those of the world. So you gotta think of what's valuable for you. And who knows, like you might start with one and then move to the other. I don't think any is like super detrimental or nothing's bad for your career at the end of the day, but you might have like there's certain things that are highlights. Like one thing I've learned is like if people have like Apple on their resume, like people's eyes open up and their little ears perk up. But like starting with a smaller company is not going to be detrimental for you by any means. I got a note that I had been breaking up. I hope turning off the video helped with that. Damn, that was really awful. Some skills that you think helped me stand out when I was at my first job. So fun fact on that, I got a lot of feedback on this in my first job of like, here's why we kept you going and kept you at Planet. And a lot of it was because I brought a very good attitude to work. I generally think it's very pleasant when people enjoy working together. So I try and do my best to always have an upbeat attitude, especially in like in the doom and gloom situations. And one of the things that was highlighted is like, hey, that really helped with the team. Like caused me to stand out a little bit more because like it put other people in a more positive mood and helped us kind of solve and work through our challenges. And then another thing that was pointed out is or one of the things I was able to do is if I didn't know it, I wanted to go learn it. So there are some things where it's just like my first time when they put they asked me to fix something is a satellite was broken. They took off a side panel, put it in front of me, and he said, I know what's wrong with it. You go figure it out. And it's just asking a lot of questions, working through all that and kind of showing that, yeah, I want to make this work and I'm happy to be here and I really want to learn more. So just kind of those two things I think were very key for me, kind of being hired at that. And just I was able to take on a lot of responsibility early on, as it was like whether it was given to me or whether I just saw a gap and overtook it. So that was another area that was pretty key. Is there were a lot of gaps I saw, and either I raised them up to management or I took care of them myself. That became also very visible. So those are some fun things at the first job. Cool. Being a woman, what was the biggest challenge you faced and how did you overcome it? So this is an interesting question because it usually comes to me in waves when you realize like you walk into a conference room and it's a bunch of dudes. Or it's like in college. In college, it wasn't as bad for me because there were about, I think 4 or 5 women that were all in the same like class. So like we kind of had most of our classes together. So we kind of all like rotated around. So you didn't feel it as much where it's like you're such a small minority in that portion of it. But the key thing to that just kind of really comes down to the support that you have. If you have people going out to bat for you, that was really key for me at Planet to make sure that I did progress. And being able to transition from my manufacturing engineer role, like you really got to have your like group of people at like and those come across like all the genders. So at Planet, that was actually my boss for me. Like he became my boss. We had a lot of good conversations about my future, and he was actually the one that when he left Planet, he offered me the job at Cruise. So you have like you got to find the people that'll go out to bat for you. And that's kind of the best way to overcome it in a sense is like you have your goal in front of you, you have the team that's with you, and if they're kind of working with you and fighting with you, it becomes easier to not notice that you're the only woman in the room, and also just to work with the women around you. Like they might be in like some of these like broader meetings where you kind of feel like somebody's being like talked over or not being listened to or something, just like doing like I tend to be a loud person in meetings. So just like, hey, somebody had like that person has something to say and just kind of show and support that way as well and hope that others do that for you. And that's not something that you need to know somebody for. It's just like a respect thing, right? So that was pretty big. I've tried 20 plus companies, landed no internship. Should I stop? Maybe get my master's degree and try again. That is a great question. I don't think you should ever stop. I think the thing to kind of look for there is like the things that you are applying for, like a little bit of introspection. There might be like, am I like the jobs that I'm applying for? Because when I applied for things, sometimes I applied for stuff that I maybe was like not qualified for, or like there were. Like I was applying to Google right when I got out of school and I'm like, I'm never going to get that job, but I'm going to apply anyway. I definitely don't think you should stop. I definitely think you should like look towards kind of your peers and the org a little bit and kind of see if you think there's anything that like your resume is lacking to do like reviews. And I'm more than happy to do that as well. and kind of see where the fallout is happening, and maybe rescope like where you're applying, what you want to go do. A master's degree is never a bad idea. Is it something you want to do though? So staying in school longer is always a question of, do I want to do that? That's always an option for you. So that might, like, whether you stay for the master's or not, it's probably a question you want to ask yourself, and then to try and get that elusive internship. I think first step would probably be like reach out to some of the resources we have at the College of Engineering, do some like resume reviews or anything to see if like there's any way that we can improve that a little bit to make yourself a little bit more marketable, or if the fallout is happening in like some of the interviews and such, see if there's ways to improve that. And then perhaps just ask some advice of like some of the people that you go to school with that might have the internships, of like, where did you apply? Like, what was your experiences like? And because there might be like some places just really just want like, they want an intern, but they want like an intern that's like a PhD student. Like I've had that at Planet where we had an intern and this dude, like I swear this dude looked like he was very much an adult. He was talking about his kids and he's like, yeah, I'm getting my PhD, and he was an intern. So there's some companies that do a lot of that. So I would definitely reach out to some of your peers and kind of see where they're applying, where they're seeing traction, and see if those roles look interesting to you. What is one piece of advice you received or wish you would have received early in your college education that was or would have been most helpful? Excellent question. My biggest thing probably, like, if I could honestly go tell myself this going back, is just like all of those people that you know in industry, keep up with them. Because they're gonna be your like benefactors down the road. Because now, like, even 6-ish years into my career, like there are some really cool people I met when I was in school that I just did such a poor job of keeping up to, and I really wish I did better, because one, they could be your friends, but also it'd be really key to try and get like, if I still kept in touch with people, you get so much more experience of the world. So like when we took over the Google company, Terraboa, like I talked to a lot of those guys about like their experiences working with Google, and there was just so many vast experiences there. And I realized like, hey, maybe that's not something I want to go do. Maybe like Google's not the best place for me to work. So like I got a lot of those learnings there, and I wish I could have gotten some of those a little earlier, because then you can sit there and you can like temper your expectations, right? And you kind of change what your view is and kind of what you want. So I think that's one thing, like it's drilled into you all the time of just like network, but like I paid such little attention to it, and I really wish I would have done more of that. Or like even if it didn't lead to anything, it leads to like just talking to like learning how to talk to people. One of the key difference, like I went to like obviously conferences while we were in school, but then I also went to a conference when I was the employee, and people were coming up to me asking me about internships. So it's like you can really tell the difference between like the confidence somebody walks up with. So even if like you're not talking to people with the intent of like hire me for a job, you still take something out of those conversations. So cool. You're welcome, Joey. Feel free to reach out via like email or anything else if you want to me to read through like a resume or something. Was everything taught at school actually used on the job, or was it more on job training?
Shivani,
Yes.
this will be the last question since
Oh
we're
yeah, absolutely. Oh, we are overtime. My bad. So last question from Javier is, was everything taught in school actually used on a job, or was it more on-job training? There's a lot of on-job training. I'm going to be very honest with you. I was debugging a board and I forgot what an H bridge was. So that might be a little bit just my personality of like, you get through a semester of school and you immediately forget everything. But there was a lot of on-job training for me, and working, playing nice with others. Let me drop, that is my email. I will drop, that is my LinkedIn. Feel free to hit me up on Discord. I don't know how that works usually, but you can try, and I will try my best to respond. But email might be the way to go for that. But yeah, honestly, feel free to reach out if you like. If you want to talk one-on-one, like I'm more than happy to hop on the phone. If you want me to read like a resume or something, like I've done a lot more interviews than jobs I've interviewed for, so I have a lot of experience on the other side of the table. So we can talk about that, or if there's any other questions that you have about either cruise or kind of my career out of it, feel free to reach out. More than happy to talk. I have a mail.fresnostate email as well, but please use the Gmail instead. Awesome. Anything last minute parting comments?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for giving me the hope and the information that you provided are very critical for me to landing my first internship. So thank you so much.
You got it, buddy. And good luck to you.
All right. Thank you,
too,
Ms.
thank you.
Kumar. I'll end it right here. Thank you, Ms. Kumar, and congratulations on your promotion. Thank you, everyone, for joining us for this informational and inspiring talk. A reminder, tune into the next LCOE Tech Talk next month in September. And then also LCOE is hosting open house on October 8th and 9th. Be on the lookout for more information to follow.
Awesome. Have a great time, folks. If you email me like a form that says you were here, I might sign it, but I don't think any of your professors will take it.
Thank you, Shivani. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks, folks.
Appreciate
Hope to
it.
see you in
Thank you,
person
everyone.
eventually.
Yes, we'll
Thank
see
you.
each other in person soon. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for
Bye, folks.
joining us. Have a great afternoon. Thank you, Lazaro.
Bye.
All right. Great issue Friday, folks.